Be me, Diane, 52, sociology professor specializing in gender studies at a mid-tier state university. I've spent 3 decades teaching young people about dismantling patriarchy, intersectional feminism, and progressive relationships. My own marriage ended 12 years ago when my ex-husband, Derek's father, walked out for a younger woman who didn't challenge him so much. Fine. Good riddance. Though if I'm being honest, it took me years to get to good riddance. The first year after he left was hell. I'd come home from teaching, back when I was just an adjunct, scraping by, and find Derek doing homework at the kitchen table, trying to act like everything was normal. He was 16. Old enough to understand his father had chosen someone younger, prettier, less exhausting over us. I remember the exact moment I decided who I'd be after that. 3 months post-divorce, I ran into them at a restaurant. Richard and the new girlfriend, Ashley, 26 years old. She laughed at everything he said, touched his arm constantly, didn't challenge a single opinion. I watched her perform this diminishment of herself, making herself smaller so he could feel bigger. And Richard looked so relieved. That's what broke something in me. Not that he'd left, but that he'd left because I'd asked too much, because I'd wanted him to read the parenting books, share the mental load, attend my faculty events, because I'd refused to make myself smaller. I went home that night and told Derek, never choose a woman who makes herself small for you, and never ask a woman to shrink. Promise me. He promised. I threw myself into my career after that, got my PhD, published papers, built my reputation as someone who taught men to be better. Every male student who left my classroom understanding emotional labor, every young man who learned about consent. That was my revenge against Richard. I was raising a generation of men who wouldn't do what he did. And Derek was going to be the crown jewel. My proof that you could raise a man who'd love strong women, who wouldn't be intimidated, who'd be a real partner. I just wanted him to be nothing like his father. I raised Derek alone from 16 onward, made sure he understood consent culture, emotional labor, the works. He turned out great. Sensitive, respectful, financially stable software engineer. Never been the type to raise his voice or assert himself too much. Sometimes I worried he'd be a pushover, but better that than toxic masculinity, right? The problem started at his company's summer mixer 2 years ago. I went as his +1 since his father passed 3 years back and we'd gotten close. Derek mentioned he'd been casually talking to someone from work for a few weeks. Just casual, Mom. Not sure if it's going anywhere. Then I met Zara. She was holding court near the bar, wine glass in hand, explaining to a circle of tech guys why their merit-based promotion system was actually just coded sexism. She used terms like intersectional framework and dismantling oppressive structures. I literally felt my heart swell. This woman was articulate, confident, exactly the kind of evolved partner I'd always hoped Derek would find. I pulled him aside. That's her? Yeah, that's Zara. Derek, she's incredible. He gave me this uncertain look. She's intense. Intense is good. Intense means she knows what she wants. Over the next few months, I made it my mission to encourage this relationship. I invited Zara to my feminist book club, introduced her to colleagues from the gender studies department. Every time Derek expressed even mild hesitation, I shut it down. Like when he mentioned Zara got upset because he suggested splitting the cost of a weekend trip to Portland. She makes more than me, Mom, but she said asking her to pay equally ignores systemic wage gaps, even though she literally makes more. I remember laughing. Well, she's not wrong about wage gaps existing. Maybe she's just testing whether you'll be cheap about it. Don't be one of those guys who nitpicks over money. Or the time he said Zara snapped at him for holding a door open. She said it was benevolent sexism. It can be, I told him, if you're only doing it because she's a woman. Did you think about that? I hold doors for everyone. Then explain that to her. Communication, Derek. Looking back, I can see every red flag I ignored, but at the time, I was just so proud. Here was my son, dating someone who'd challenge him to examine his privilege, push him to be better. I'd raised him to respect strong women. This was exactly what I wanted. The turning point came over Sunday brunch at my place, about 6 months into their relationship. Derek was picking at his eggs, quiet. What's wrong? Nothing. Just, I don't know if Zara and I are right for each other. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Why would you say that? She's just, everything I do is wrong somehow. Last night I made dinner. She's always saying I don't do enough domestic labor, but then she criticized how I cut the vegetables, said I was performing incompetence to avoid future tasks. Were you? What? No. I just cut them differently than she would. I set down my fork. Derek, listen to me. You could marry someone who challenges you to be better, or you could settle for someone who makes you comfortable. But comfortable men don't change the world. Zara is pushing you because she sees your potential. He looked at me like he wanted to say something, then just nodded. You're intimidated by her, I continued. That's normal. Your father was intimidated by me too, but you're better than him. You can handle a strong woman. I watched something shift in his expression. Resignation, maybe. Or determination. You really think she's good for me? I think she's exactly what you need. 4 months later, he proposed. The engagement dinner at my house was perfect. I toasted to the kind of partnership that rewrites gender roles in front of 30 family and friends. Zara beamed. Derek smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. His sister Simone, my oldest, a nurse, more traditional, gave me a look across the table I pretended not to see. Wedding planning was contentious, but I defended every single one of Zara's choices. She refused to take Derek's last name. I'm not property, she announced at a family dinner. My sister Karen muttered something about tradition. I jumped in immediately. It's her choice. Women have been erasing their identities for centuries. Zara insisted on no white dress. Virginity purity culture is misogynistic, and a ceremony with no traditional language. When Derek's aunt suggested conventional vows, Zara's voice went ice cold. I'm not performing femininity for the comfort of others. Aunt Linda looked hurt. I stepped in. This is what progress looks like. We should celebrate her authenticity. The costs spiraled. Zara insisted on a feminist photographer. 3,500 euros. Sustainable catering. 8,000 euros. And a venue that donated to women's causes. 4,000 euros. Derek was covering about 90% of everything. When I gently asked why, he said Zara felt that splitting costs equally ignored the systemic wage gap women face. She makes more than you though, right? Yeah, but it's the principle, she said. I told him that actually made sense from a theoretical standpoint, even though privately I felt uneasy, but what could I say? It would sound like I was policing how she engaged with feminist economics. The worst fight came 6 weeks before the wedding. Derek showed up at my house Sunday morning looking like he hadn't slept. Mom, I need to talk to you. We sat at the kitchen table. He showed me his credit card statement. Wedding costs were drowning him, and Zara had just added another 1,200 euros for ethical wedding favors. I asked if we could cut back somewhere, anything, and she said I was prioritizing capitalism over our values, that I was showing her what kind of partner I'd be. What did you say? I apologized. Something in my chest tightened. Derek, I don't think I can do this. Everything feels wrong. This doesn't feel like partnership. It feels like I'm failing a test I didn't know I was taking. I should have listened, should have said, trust your gut, call it off. Instead, I reached across the table and took his hand. Cold feet are normal. Marriage is scary, especially when you're marrying someone who won't let you coast on male privilege. She's pushing you to be better. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like drowning. That's patriarchal discomfort. She loves you. She's just not going to baby you through it. He looked at me for a long moment. I could see something dying behind his eyes. Okay, he said quietly. You're probably right. He left 20 minutes later, shoulders slumped. I went back to grading papers. The wedding itself was beautiful in a non-traditional way. Zara wore black. The ceremony included a land acknowledgement and a reading about dismantling romantic ownership. Simone sat in the back row with her arms crossed the entire time. 3 months after the wedding, Zara quit her marketing job. Derek called me, voice tight. She said the corporate culture was traumatizing, that she needs time to heal and discover her authentic self. Mental health is important. Mom, I'm picking up overtime to cover both our expenses now. She started a lifestyle blog, but it doesn't make money. Maybe give it time. She's finding her path. She orders these wellness subscriptions, crystals, manifestation journals, €150 a month. I didn't know what to say to that. Have you talked to her about budgeting? She says monitoring her spending is financial abuse. I felt a flicker of something, doubt, but I pushed it down. She's adjusting to married life. It'll balance out. It didn't balance out. Zara stopped coming to family dinners entirely. When I asked Derek about it, he said she found them energetically draining and needed to protect her space. At Christmas, Derek showed up alone. Zara has a migraine. He looked terrible, lost weight, dark circles, barely touched his food. When anyone asked him questions, his answers were short, distracted. He left after 40 minutes. Zara needs me home. After he left, Simone cornered me in the kitchen. Are you happy now? Excuse me? You pushed him into this. She's destroying him and you keep making excuses. That's not fair. She hasn't worked in 8 months, Mom. He's working 60-hour weeks. And she convinced him to stop seeing his therapist because the guy was validating patriarchal guilt patterns. I felt cold. How do you know that? Because he told me. Before she cut him off from talking to me too. She pulled out her phone, showed me Instagram screenshots. Zara's posts about setting boundaries with the toxic family systems and releasing relationships that don't serve your growth. One post from 3 days ago, when your Mel is a feminist but still expects you to perform emotional labor for her comfort. I tried calling Derek that night. No answer. I texted, "Can we talk? I'm worried about you." He responded 4 hours later. "I'm fine, Mom. Zara and I are just prioritizing our relationship right now. She helped me see that family can be emotionally manipulative without meaning to be." That didn't sound like Derek. It sounded like Zara. I spent the next 3 weeks defending Zara to everyone who'd listen. When Simone texted me articles about emotional abuse disguised as progressive values, I replied, "You're just uncomfortable with a woman who doesn't defer to family pressure." When my sister asked why Derek looked so exhausted, I said, "He's adjusting to marriage. Zara's helping him set healthier boundaries." When a colleague at the university saw Zara's Instagram post and laughed, "Sounds like someone's Mael didn't get the feminist memo," I forced a smile and said, "Right? I'm sure I'm guilty as charged, but privately, alone in my house, I was starting to panic. Derek had missed our last 3 Sunday dinners, stopped responding to texts for days at a time. When he did respond, it was always short, formal messages that sounded nothing like him. I did something I'm not proud of. I deep dove Zara's public social media. The posts were worse than Simone had shown me. Zara wrote about breaking generational trauma, my family. About financial abuse disguised as tradition, splitting costs. One post showed a photo of their apartment's wall calendar, Derek's work schedule color-coded in red, with caption, "When your partner finally understands that his job is to support your healing journey, not demand you perform capitalism. Growth. Another post. Normalize women refusing to manage their partner's family relationships. His mom, his problem. I sat there in my home office, surrounded by my bookshelves, The Feminine Mystique, Bad Feminist, We Should All Be Feminists, and felt something crack inside me. Zara was using the exact language I'd taught Derek to respect. She was weaponizing feminism to isolate him, bleed him dry, and justify treating him like a walking ATM with emotional labor obligations. And I couldn't call it out, because every time I tried, people would think I was exactly the kind of oppressive mother-in-law who couldn't handle her son having a strong wife. My entire career, my entire identity, was built on supporting women like Zara. If I criticized her, I was a hypocrite. I tried one more time to reach Derek, called him at work, hoping to catch him without Zara around. He picked up. "Mom, I'm in a meeting." "Please, just 5 minutes. I miss you." Silence. Then, "I miss you too. But Zara's been really clear that my family uses guilt to control me. I need to honor her boundaries. Derek, she's isolating you. She's helping me see unhealthy patterns. What about therapy? You loved your therapist. That guy was reinforcing toxic masculinity. Zara helped me see that." My throat tightened. "When's the last time you were happy?" Another long silence. "I have to go, Mom." He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, and for the first time, I let myself think it. I made a horrible mistake. I decided to try talking to Zara directly. Maybe woman to woman, we could clear the air. I texted her, "I'd love to grab coffee and talk. I feel like we've drifted and I miss you both." She agreed. I was surprised. We met at a cafe downtown. Zara ordered a €7 oat milk turmeric latte. I paid. I tried to ease into it. "I've noticed Derek seems stressed lately. Is everything okay?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Derek is stressed because he's unlearning a lifetime of people-pleasing and codependency. I'm helping him establish boundaries. Right, but financially, I know things have been tight. We've decided not to subscribe to capitalist definitions of contribution. I contribute emotionally and mentally, which patriarchy doesn't value. I took a breath. I just think maybe some balance. Maybe you could come to family events occasionally? For Derek. Her expression hardened. "You're asking me to perform for your comfort. That's emotional labor I don't consent to." "I'm asking you to care about your husband." There it is. She leaned forward. "You know what, Diane? I expected better from you. You teach feminist theory, but you're just another mother-in-law who expects women to sacrifice for family harmony. You're weaponizing feminism to control me." I felt like I'd been slapped. "I'm not trying to control—" "You absolutely are. You pushed Derek into this relationship because I looked good on paper for your progressive agenda, but now that I'm actually living my feminist values instead of performing them, you can't handle it. That's not fair, isn't it? You wanted him to marry a strong woman, and you can't deal with the fact that I don't need your approval." She stood up. "We're done here." She left. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at her half-finished €7 latte. 2 days later, Derek texted me. "Mom, I need you to stop contacting Zara. She showed me your text history. You've been undermining our relationship. I need space." I called him immediately. Voicemail. I drove to their apartment. It took 15 minutes of knocking before Derek answered. He opened the door, only a crack, didn't invite me in. I could see Zara on the couch behind him, watching. "Derek, please, can we just talk?" He looked exhausted, defeated. "What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me you're okay." "I'm fine." "You're not. You look miserable." "You pushed me to find someone strong," he said, voice flat. "Now you can't handle that she doesn't need your approval." That's a you problem, Mom. Those words. Zara's words coming out of his mouth. Baby, this isn't healthy. She's isolated you from everyone who loves you. She's helped me see who actually supports me. I support you. By constantly criticizing my wife? By trying to sabotage our marriage? I'm not... He stepped back. I have to go. The door closed. I heard the deadbolt slide into place. I stood in that hallway for 5 minutes, staring at their door, before I finally walked away. 3 months of silence. I threw myself into work, taught my classes, published a paper on feminist motherhood and adult children, attended department meetings, kept my phone on loud in case Derek called. He didn't. Simone reported he'd missed their dad's death anniversary gathering. Zara posted they were at some women's empowerment retreat, one of those €2,000 weekend things. I checked Instagram. Zara had posted a photo of herself in front of a waterfall. Caption: Investing in my healing isn't selfish, it's necessary. Women are taught to shrink ourselves. I'm done shrinking. Tagged location: Sedona, Arizona. Derek wasn't in any of the photos. Then, at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in March, my phone rang. Mom, he was crying. Derek? What's wrong? I can't do this anymore. His voice cracked. I'm so tired. I work all day and come home, and it's never enough. She needs something new every week. A class, a retreat, healing crystals, a life coach. I can't remember the last time she asked how I was doing. My heart shattered. Then leave. Come home. You don't have to stay. Long pause. I could hear him breathing. I can't. Why not? Because then everyone will say I couldn't handle a strong woman. That I'm just another man who wanted someone submissive. You taught me better than that, Mom. I can't be that guy. Oh God. What had I done? Derek's strength and selfishness aren't the same thing. I made this choice. I have to live with it. No. I pushed you into this. I'm so sorry. I have to go. Zara's asking who I'm talking to. Wait. The line went dead. I called back immediately. It went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted, please call me back. I love you. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response came. I sit here now, 2 weeks later, staring at the framed photo from their wedding on my bookshelf. My arm around both of them, huge smile on my face, believing I'd done everything right. Maybe I did raise him wrong. Maybe I taught him to be too accommodating, too afraid of being that kind of man. Maybe I should have taught him that boundaries go both ways, that respecting women doesn't mean accepting abuse. But no, that can't be it. The problem isn't feminism. The problem is... Zara misunderstood it. She's an outlier, weaponizing progressive language for selfish ends. That's not what I taught. That's not what the movement is about. Derek will figure it out eventually. He's smart. He'll see through her manipulation and he'll leave, and when he does, I'll be here. Or maybe he won't leave. Maybe he'll stay, because I spent 28 years teaching him that leaving a difficult woman makes him weak. I open my laptop, tomorrow's lecture, Deconstructing Gender Roles in Modern Relationships. I stare at the screen for a long time. My phone sits on the table next to me, screen, dark, silent. I pick it up, scroll to Derek's contact, hover my thumb over the call button. I don't press it. I think about calling again tomorrow. Or maybe I'll give him space, like he asked. Maybe that's respecting his boundaries. Maybe that's being a good feminist mother. Or maybe I'm just afraid of hearing Zara's words come out of his mouth again. I finish the wine, pour another glass. Somewhere across town, my son is probably awake too, lying next to a woman who convinced him that everyone who loves him is toxic, staring at the ceiling, wondering how he got here. And it's my fault, isn't it? No, I did everything right. I raised him to respect women, to examine his privilege, to be a good partner. The problem is, Zara took advantage of that, exploited his decency, but if I'd just let him pull back when he first expressed doubts... If I hadn't pushed so hard, I pick up my phone again, scroll through our old text messages, back when he used to send me memes and ask for recipe advice and tell me about his day. The last message from him, 2 weeks ago. I have to go. Zara's asking who I'm talking to. I type out a message. I love you. I'm here whenever you're ready. I hover over send for a full minute. Then I delete it. He needs space. I have to respect that. That's what a good mother does. Right?